Hello everybody, welcome to day 1 of maths this week. Last week you learned a really important skill called addition with renaming, and Brian went through some great steps and taught you step by step on how to do it. Now this week we are using the same steps, but our sums are going to be a little bit harder. Now, you recognise that this is our addition house, and this helped us the first day last week to be able to add and rename our tens and units. Today, we're going to use the house for our first part, and then the sums are going to get a little bit harder on page 2, and then on page 3, we have a word problem. So let's get started. Now, I'm going to pick the sum 68 plus 24 equals. Now, even for me, looking at this sum, it looks a little bit hard, okay? I would find it really hard to figure out the sum written this way. So I'm going to change it from horizontal, and I'm going to write it into my addition house and make it into a vertical sum. So let's see, what do we have to do? I have the number 68, so I'm going to write down 6 tens and 8 units. And then I want to add 24 to that number. So I want to add 2 tens and 4 units to 68. Now, last week, you only added 2-digit numbers with 1 digit. So this week, you're adding 2-digit numbers with 2-digit numbers, okay? So I'm going to put my plus sign in here to remind me we are adding and not taking away. So we're adding. Now, step 1. The first thing we have to do, you tell me, what was it? You guys did fantastic work last week on all your activity sheets, so you know well how to do this. Step 1. You're right, very good. Add the units first. So I'm going to change my color so it's different for the answer. 8 plus 4. What is 8 plus 4? So we're adding the units first. Now, I know that 8 plus 2 is 10. So 4 is 2 more, which must make 12. So in here, I'm going to write my 12. But, oh no, something is wrong. Step 2, what is it? So I've got 12 units, but I can't have 12 units. So what do I have to do? You're right. This one doesn't belong here. So I have to move this 10. He has to move up into the tens house. So I'm going to put him right here so I remember him, and I've put the 10 into the tens house. So now I'm just left with 2 units here. And I've moved Mr. 10 over to the tens side. So the step 3 is I add my tens. So 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 plus 6 is 9. So that's 9 tens I have, and I had 2 units, which I brought down here. So my answer is 92. So 68 plus 24 is equal to 92. Well done, good job. So step 1, we added the units first. Step 2, we renamed the 10 over to the 10 side, and we kept our 2 units. Step 3, we added our tens and we brought it down to the 10 side. So our answer was 92. So it's the same rules, even though the sums are a little bit bigger, or the numbers are a bit bigger, it's the same rule applies as last week. Now we're going to try an even harder one on page 2. Are you ready? You are definitely ready for this. So, 14 plus 35 plus 23. Now, what's different this time? It's a much, much bigger sum, isn't it? So instead of 2-digit number plus a 2-digit number, I now have 14, that's one number, 35, and 23. So now I'm adding 3 numbers together. So it's much, much bigger. I would find that really difficult to solve the way it's written at the moment. So I'm going to use my tens and units strategy to help me solve this sum. So I write down my T for my tens, and I'm going to write down my U for my units. And then I'm going to rewrite out this sum to make it easier. So I might put the bigger number first, so 35. So 35 is 3 tens and 5 units. And then I might put the second biggest number, 23, so 2 tens and 3 units. And then plus 14. So I've got all the numbers in here now. I'll draw my line underneath, and I'll put my plus sign to remind me I'm adding. So step 1, what do we have to do? We have to add the units. Good job. So I've got 3 numbers here I have to add up. 4 plus 3 is 7, and 7 plus 5. So let's see. 7 plus 5, I'll give you a few seconds to work that out. Well done. 7 plus 5 is 12. So I'll put down my 2. But I can't have 12 in the unit side because I can only have up to 9. So I have to move Mr. 10 over to the 10 side. So I'm going to write him in here. So I couldn't put him here because I can't have that many units. So I took the 10 and I moved him into the 10 side, into the 10 house. Now the next step, step 3, is I add the 10s. Very good. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. And then 4 plus 3 is 7. And I put my 7 down here. So my answer is 72. Now it's really important to put this 10 here so you don't forget about him. Okay, so in your sums, and myself and Brian always want to see this 10 written right here. So you don't forget about him. When you're adding up all these other 10s, you need to remember to add this 10, so you have to write him in there. Okay, well done, everybody. That was tricky. So in your activity, you're going to get some 3 numbers to add together, just like this. So remember, use the same skills. So step 1, add the units. Step 2, rename the 10s if you have to. And step 3, add the 10s. Okay? Now, the last part is there's a word problem to solve. Now, when we're solving word problems, we can use the strategy called rude. Well done. The only time you're ever allowed to be rude is when we're doing word problems in maths. And it's not really being rude, it's just using the word to help us. Can you remember what rude stands for? Well done. The R stands for read. The U stands for underline the important information. D is to draw it out. And E is for that lovely word, estimate. Have a smart guess. So let's read the question first. We'll do the first part. There are 27 chairs in classroom A. There are 29 chairs in classroom B. How many chairs are there all together? So I've read it. Now I need to underline the important information. There are 27 chairs. 27 is important. It doesn't really matter that they're chairs or that they're in classroom A, just that there's 27 of something. There are 29, that's important. Again, chairs in classroom B, it could be anything. It could be dinosaurs in the jungle. How many chairs are there all together? Now that's telling us what we have to do. So it's all together always means what? We have to add them. So it's a plus word problem. So 27 plus 29 is what we have to do. So I've underlined the information. Now draw it out. It's a bit hard to draw 27 chairs. So what I might do is write there's 27 in this room. And there's 29 in this room. And all together is what I need to figure out. So I might draw them all together like that. And I know I have to add. And the last thing we need to look at is, can we make a smart guess? Is there any way we can figure out, the answer is definitely going to be around something? So I'm going to use my rounding skills, and I'm going to say 27. 7 climbs up the vine, so I have to jump up to the next 10, so that's 30. And if I was to round 29, 9 also jumps up the vine, so that's 30 as well. So 30 plus 30, it's a double. 30 plus 30 is 60. Very good. So my answer is going to be roughly around 60. That's my estimate done. So it's roughly around 60. Now I'm going to use my tens and units to help me solve this question. So 27 plus 29. So step 1, add the units first. 9 plus 7. So I could add one more and pretend that's 10. I know 7 plus 10 is 17. 9 is one less, so it must be 16. I put down my 6 and I carry Mr. 10 to the 10 side. So I put down my 6 and I carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So I added my 10s then for step 3, and I got 5, which is 50. So 56 is my answer. And then I can write 56 in here. So it's important, when you see word problems like this, don't be afraid to write them down somewhere on the page like this to help you solve the problem, okay? Because it's nice for a teacher to see how did you get your answer, so we know you understand how to add with renaming. Give the activities a go. There's going to be 2 pages, so don't forget to do page number 2. Best of luck, everybody, and I'll see you for maths on day 2.